Everyone, I'm Milne with the Flourishing Moms, and today I have Melinda Joyce with us. And we are continuing our series with moms this season who have triumphed and really flourished now in their lives. I am so excited for Melinda to be here, and she's going to be sharing her journey of parenting her daughter, the fights, the disconnect, and really being in that space of really wanting her daughter to change. And Melinda's going to be talking to us about, she took courses, she took reading books and hiring a life coach, all with the sole purpose of fixing her daughter. I'm sure many of us can relate to that. And what she soon realized, it wasn't about her daughter. It was all about herself, her limiting beliefs, and what she needed to look at as herself as a parent. So I am overjoyed that you're here, honey, and I so applaud your honesty of coming forward and sharing this journey with us. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello, Anna. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. That must have been a huge moment of, oh my gosh, when you realize that. Because it's true, we were talking earlier before we hit record, how we're always, what's wrong with my child? What's wrong with my child? And we're fixers, we're moms, we want to fix things.
Absolutely. And that's always my intention was, how can I get her to do what I want her to do? Without the arguments, without the constant, I say black, she says white, I say 2, she says 4. Yeah. It was just a constant battle all the time. And I wanted to fix her. What is wrong with her? Why is she not obeying what I want her to do? And that's where the journey needed to change.
Yeah. Well, let's step back to what it looked like. Like I did do a little brief, how old were your daughter and where did you realize that, I want to fix her? Like, what did that look like?
Well, if I can take you back to my childhood, because in that way you'll have more of an understanding on why I parented the way I did. Because that's the other thing I realized too, is that what I don't know. So, and what my parents did was because of what their parents did, and understanding that it was just this chain of, this is how we parent and this is what you do. And so as I was growing up, I learned at an early age that it was better to be seen, not heard. I was quick to please all the time. There was alcohol in our family. There was abuse in our family, verbal as well as, a tad bit physical. And so from a child's point of view, everything was exacerbated. It felt like I was in fear and I didn't want my parents to drink and oh my God. And so I would really hide myself away in my room, put my Walkman on and not listen to the arguing and stuff, where my sister came from another point of view. She was the engager and she was the protector. It was my sort of thing. I was the one that it's not happening, la 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 kind of a thing. People pleaser at a very young age. And so for me it was okay, this is how life is. I didn't know any better. You argue, you fought, and then you kind of threw everything underneath the carpet and you moved on throughout your week and your days and your life, and then you never talk about it again, and then it'll happen again. There's a lot of confusion and just not knowing what it is. So as I grew up, like I said, I learned very, very young to just tread lightly and to always let people know that, yes, for sure, I'd love to do that, even though I didn't. And I wanted to be the best, so I would be noticed, and just kind of got my needs met in different ways throughout other ways as well, and learned that was the way to get the attention.
Yes.
Yeah, so pretty much from there, I always knew I wanted children. That was the biggest thing, and that was definitely something that was always on the forefront of my mind. And I think a lot of moms can agree that they don't come with handbooks. So as you go through life, it's kind of this is what happens, this is how I respond, this is what happens, this is how I respond.
Yes.
And I didn't know how to respond. I just did what my parents did, and there was guilt, there was fear, And so I tried that. And so, as a new mom, you're going through your own stuff as well. And you want to be perfect, and you want to have the house clean, and you want the laundry done. So when the hubby comes to the door, you can just have that magic wand and that smile on your face, like everything was so good today. And you're not really telling the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
You haven't brushed your hair, you haven't brushed your teeth, you certainly haven't had time for a shower, and your husband walks in saying, "Oh, what did you do today?" And you want to rip his head off.
Yes, exactly. I
mean,
it is, and I've heard this when I did another interview with somebody, that parenting is the ultimate personal growth course. Like you really, really do bring your stuff from your childhood along on this journey.
Yeah. No, and you know what? It's funny, when I'm in it, I didn't think that, but definitely reflecting back, I just went, "Oh my gosh, what a fast way to do personal growth," because what I was seeing was reflecting back to me on how I was feeling. At the time, I didn't see that piece, that she was me, and in a sense of how I raised her, and what I said to her was being reflected back to me, and I did not like that, and I did not realize that at the time too. So it's just all these things of trying as a parent, like, what's going to work? What's the biggest thing that's going to work? And I tried everything, Anna. I mean, not proud now, of course, but at the time it was like, well, you spank them because that's just what you do. And then, you put the fear of God in them so that they won't do it again.
Yes.
That never worked. Because, I mean, you could go to beat a child because it just doesn't stop. And so I can see, like, and I said that at the beginning, like when I didn't have kids, I don't see how people could actually do that to their children. Well, until you have them, and you're not ready, and you're really at odds with yourself, as well as, say, other stresses that are going on in your life with jobs and husbands and stuff. I can see how people could do it, and not advocating for them by any means, or that I did it myself, but I can see how the rage and the different feelings come into it that I never felt before, that I thought, oh my God, I'm a monster. How can I be thinking these things? So that was a part too that, I went to beat myself up about as well, because I was like, how can I think these thoughts? And I'm such a bad person. Well, that didn't really help my parenting either. So that was that part that I was trying to figure out on myself.
Yeah. I remember when I had my first daughter, like, just wanting her to listen and be enraged with anger. Like, I never felt anything like that. And it's true, like, before parenting, we have this picture, everything's going to be fine. And then in that moment, we're like, oh my gosh, I am a monster. Like, huge guilt for a mother.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And, so what do I do with that? Is then try something different. Because it's like, okay, well, I don't want to parent like that. Like, I know what I don't want.
Yes.
So, okay. And then you hear about, the different phases of parenting that go through, whether it be social media or TV or books or whatnot. It's like, we'll put them in the naughty corner. So, you try the naughty corner, then they don't listen there either. So I'm the parent that always says, I pretty much have tried all of it, like blame, shame, guilt, because that's all I knew, because that's how it was done to me. And it made me feel so bad that those were the times that I didn't repeat stuff, because it was such an open wound that I didn't want to do it again or feel that way again. So I'm like, okay, well, then you shame them. That's what you do, because then they don't want to feel that. They need to feel the pain. They need to feel that hurt in order to not do that again. That's really serving them.
Yes. Well, yes.
I mean, looking at it now, I'm like, oh my God, so, but that was the whole fear mongering of, wait till your father gets home.
Yes.
And, all those things of parenting from a place of fear, that I used all those techniques because I didn't know any different. And then I beat myself up using them, thinking, well, it didn't work for me, or I really came from a place of resentment after that, going, oh my gosh, like, I mean, I resented my parent for the way they parented me, because it shouldn't have been that way. And, really blamed them for a lot of things, not thinking of it from their point of view of how they got parented. That came a little later in the journey. But at that time, it was just really like hate and revenge and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, I don't want my kids to feel that like I felt for my parents at that time. Younger. you don't know how to process. I didn't know how to process all those feelings. And so I thought they were just doing that because they were monsters, because I didn't know any better. So it was this real learning on parenting and growing together in a dysfunctional way. And it was like, well, how is this going to stop? Like, I don't want to parent like this. This is all that I know, but there's got to be a better way. Mm-hmm. So what can I do differently? And that's when I came about some books. And I remember my mom saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're reading books on how to parent. And because she didn't know, because she would never read a book. Because you know what, back in their day, it was a sign of weakness.
Agreed.
That if you're asking for help, or you're going to counseling, or you're reading a book on how to parent, like, you should just know. Like, yes. It's just this knowing. And yeah, of course, I believe that on a certain sense too, but there's also times when one can ask for help and try to get a different perspective on stuff to simplify it, rather than to go about doing stuff that never worked and then keep repeating it. You know, and so I did there. I started with some books and kind of got a different perspective, went to a parenting class. I got some counseling on different things, and, you know, that was a great start. And then about 10 years ago, I involved myself in a network marketing company, and they have a beautiful personal development program in it as well. My girlfriend had done it for a couple of years before me. And so of course I trusted her, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was looking for weight loss myself because I thought that would make me happier. And so, you know, I joined forces with her, and there was this big isogenics craze back then. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing this and stuff. And it was the best thing because it showed me a different perspective on counseling in a personal development and a community supportive environment. So that, to me, I'd never seen before. I was a one-on-one kind of person where it was like, you don't want to tell anybody your stuff because then you don't look as good as you would. If people know that you're a monster and you don't know what you're doing, but you're a parent, I was very judgmental because I was judgmental to myself. Right. So this new thing was like, oh my gosh, there is another way. There are other people talking about it, and, you know, you'd get into smaller groups and deal with different things. And it really opened my eyes to another way. And so I was a little more at ease to share things. I mean, I didn't delve into a lot of it at the beginning, but it was the start of the process of, I'm actually okay. I'm normal. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. You think as a parent, like, am I the only one that thinks this? I don't want to tell anybody else because they're going to think I'm crazy.
Exactly.
Oh.
So what like that moment that you realized, oh my gosh, it's not just me.
Yeah, it was so freeing. It was just like, I mean, I had tears in my eyes because I was just like, there are other people like me. I feel like I was part of something bigger, that I wasn't alone. And it was just a beautiful moment. It was just, like I said, weight was lifted off the shoulders. Yeah. And it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Like, not that it's fantastic that everyone else has issues, but, you know, just in that sense of that I'm normal and that it's okay.
Yes.
That it's okay that I don't know everything. I don't know how to parent. I didn't take a course. I didn't, you know, this wasn't my certification on, you know, 101 parenting. I mean, we all just get these beautiful brand new babies, and it's like, there you go. Now enjoy for the rest of your life.
Good luck. Yes. Yeah.
So now what am I going to do with this is I knew that I wanted to delve into another way of parenting. And how can I do that? Well, I got to understand that it was a belief system, and I got to understand I needed to change those if I was going to have different results, different mindset, different results. And so my mind was so open into receiving that because I was so ready for having good relationships, because to me, family is everything. So that value I was putting on everyone else. And then I came to the realization that the value I wasn't seeing was in me. And that was another huge awakening moment, because I wouldn't spend the money on personal development before.
Right.
I thought it was like, oh my gosh, they just want something from me. Oh, they're just trying to sell their books. Oh, they're just trying to sell their programs. I didn't see the value in them because I didn't see it in myself, because I didn't think I needed to. Well, I mean, for lack of a better word, back then I thought I needed to work on myself. Now I understand it's more awakening the stuff that was already there, that was dumbed down through society, through beliefs and parenting and different things. So really seeing that value piece, I was like, oh my gosh, it's okay to spend money on me. Because that was the other thing. It was very selfish. If you looked at yourself, if you thought good things about yourself, well, you all thinking you're all that. And so really when it came to celebrating myself, that wasn't a thing. It's like you're very selfish if you're spending money on yourself, if you're thinking about yourself, if you're having a self-care day. Wow, look at you.
You are, Melinda.
Yeah.
And I think that's also passed down from parents too, right?
Absolutely.
You sacrificed everything in life, then you were a good mom.
Absolutely.
Dirty and tired and exhausted and didn't eat, then that was the badge that you had. That made you,
super mom. That's exactly. You give to everybody and you never give to yourself. You are the last on the list. And I know a lot of moms out there are still like that. Mm-hmm. And, and that's just the place that you're at. And that's the thing. It's just, how can you tweak that mindset just a little bit? Because I know now that if I'm in a better place and if I am feeling better, man, can I be a better mom? Because there's different stages of that. So taking that self-care day, taking that, sometimes, as a new mom, if you can only take 5 minutes and lock yourself in the bathroom and just sit there in peace and breathe and cry or, release, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
That is huge self-care. I mean, self-care to me back then used to be, you do your hair and your nails and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know what? You come back the same person. To me, I want to do the self-care where there is that, care of my mindset, care of my spirituality, care of my nutrition, care of my just the stuff that is inside me, the deeper stuff, not the outside stuff that most times we don't have control over. What we do have control over is on the inside. So how can I receive better? How can I be more abundant? How can I be more open so then I can simply authentically serve from that place, rather than from the place of resentment and contentment and guilt and shame, which is where I did it from before, because I was definitely the giver.
Yes.
Yeah. So resentful because I never had my time. I never could eat. My husband could never see that, he ate, but I pretty much had to eat the leftovers, which wasn't very much. As long as everyone else was fed, that was okay. Because like you said, I love how you said that there's your certification for your badge, because you're the best mom ever, because you sacrificed everything. Because that's how I used to see parenting, was sacrifice.
Agreed. And I so did too. And I even see it sometimes, kids go away for a play date or whatever, and moms are like, I don't know what to do with my time. Right? We get into that because we're doing so much to our kids that we have an hour for ourselves and we don't know what to do. Like, how many date nights do you see couples at Walmart? Or right? Because they don't know what to do.
Yes. Yep. Oh my gosh, that's and that's so true, Anna. We've done the same thing where it's like, let's go to the movies and we'll go for dinner, and we end up at Costco and we're shopping for the week, and then we're heading here and we're doing that because we're getting prepped for the week to make the week easier. Yes. And then we'll figure it out for ourselves later. We'll find time for ourselves when the kids are growing up and they're gone off to college and stuff. So it's like you're living for the later. I'm not living now. I'm not enjoying now. I'm going to live for the future because, that's the way to live. And that's how we were actually living. It's the same. And it was like, isn't that the silliest ever?
When we have the realization, it was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, so you started on this journey. How did your parenting begin to change?
So with the personal development, it was just, the biggest thing that I want to hit home with is the lifestyle of it, because I started off with a program here and there throughout the isogenic stuff, and it was fantastic. then to immerse myself and to find something on a more consistent basis, because there's a program that comes on, and then in a couple of months there's another one, then in 6 months there's another one. So I wanted to keep going on something else. And when I was open to receiving this stuff, I also had some girlfriends in what's called the Pursuit of Excellence. It's an excellent series, personal development / working on yourself stuff. And so that fell into my lap too a couple years after that. So it's about 8 years ago now that I found that. And I tell you, I resisted every moment of that as well, because it was once again going, okay, like it's a lot of time investment. I was making up excuses because like I was ready, but this was a big commitment. It was money that I had to put out, and I was still in that stage of, is it value? Is it for me? Should I go? Do I want to open up this big can of worms? I've just been kind of doing it a little bit by here and there and talking about my stuff. But this is a bit more of a fuller immersion of it, because you're there for 3 to 4 days. You're in front of different things that is suggested that you participate in. I don't want to give anything away here because I want other people to be able to enjoy the program if they do go through it. But it just brought you into another realm. And so I was like, well, am I ready? Can I do this? And I actually had a couple other friends come join me. And I looked into it and I was like, okay, you know what? This can't be that bad. And it absolutely wasn't. It was like a journey where you're sitting with people and you're working with yourself on an issue, say that you've had for a while, or different things that have brought something up. And so it's just really taking the time, which I feel I wouldn't have done in that environment, because the environment is huge. When you're at home and you're like, yeah, I've got this big paperwork I'm going to do, and I've got homework and well, there are a lot of distractions. So the kids come up, the husband wants this, the phone rings, the doorbell rings. So I mean, to be immersed, say, in a 6-hour where it's all about you kind of a thing, is exactly what I needed, because then I could get more clear. I could get in depth with things. I could really be vulnerable with myself and others, and dig a bit deeper, because that's the whole thing. When I'm distracted, it doesn't get to that point. So how can I then do it? Like, this is how I can do it, is by delving into it, staying in it, going to sleep, and then getting back into it again and doing it all over again in a different setting, and getting myself a little uncomfortable, because that's where the growth happens, is when you're uncomfortable, is when you're not knowing what's going to come next. So it was just being okay with going with the flow, and just, okay, what's next, and not looking at the whole, okay, what's tomorrow? It's like, well, what's in the next hour? What's, and just really breaking it down to make it chewable pieces. Because I think that's where the overwhelm comes in, is when I'm looking at the big 3-day picture and what's going to happen, and is this going to be, and creating these stories that aren't even happening, but they're created in my mind, because I'm trying to process all of this, and this is just what the belief system does, and different things. So this is why I wanted to change. And so I just kept reminding myself, this is why I'm here. I would love a new tool belt. I would love some tools. And you know what? I want to do this because my daughter needs me, and she needs to listen to me. I have so much information that's so good for her, that she needs to do what I say, and how I say it, and when I say it. And so, I went through, and there was 3 different stages of the program, and I pretty much did them right after each other within a couple of months. So that was good, because that was amplified, because I know myself, as you may understand too, is when you do a program and you leave so much time in between, it tends to get forgotten, some pieces. And so when I can when I can immerse myself in the first one, then I can really go into the second one going, yeah, like, I've learned from this, and it's fresh. So guess what? Here comes the next one. Okay, now this is still fresh, and I'm open, and I'm, oh my gosh, and then it's like moving on to the next one. So I really didn't have time to say no in between. So it worked out just perfectly. And what the greatest thing is, Anna, is my mom and dad helped me with the payments along the way, because them seeing me with all the progress of what I was doing, they were like, this is interesting. They've seen a change in me, which then made them think, oh, not necessarily it's for me, but you're doing really well in this and you're excelling in this. We'd love to help participate and give you the money to the next thing. So I tell you, I was like, I was just so grateful because that was the support I've been looking for years.
Yes.
And they were like, you know what? We see so much great change in you. Your positivity, it's just oozing out. You're so willing to serve yourself and others and be that mom you've always wanted to be. And, and they actually told me this stuff. And so I was like so much more dedicated and ambitious. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Like I was really feeling the love. So to me, that was like even more gump to go because, I had them as my support team as well, not resisting it like they did before. So it's interesting when it came from that point of view because, we always like to talk about things and, oh, you should do this and learn this and whatever. But most people learn by experiencing it, by experiencing it through others, let's just say, and looking at their stories and going, well, she could do it. Maybe I can too. And so I'm really looking at, okay, well, being the example, like then my mindset changed. I want to be the example for my child. And like, so it opened up a lot of different receptors that were like, oh, okay. And I tell you, I remember this very vividly is I was on stage when I did one of the courses and I had volunteered to go up. And I still couldn't understand why, and I stated the fact on the stage in front of a lot of people, and I just said, I don't know why she doesn't listen to me, and I really want her to be the best she can be. And the lady said to me, you know what, all the intentions are good. And she goes, but from what I've seen with you this weekend is my question to you. And she said, why is it so bad that she is what's the word crying? Like, why is it so bad that she's emotional, pardon me, that's the word I'm looking for. Why is it so bad that she's emotional? And I was like, because that's vulnerable. And she's like, what's wrong with being vulnerable? And I'm like, oh, that's weak. That is so weak in my world because that's how I was raised. I'll give you something to cry about.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so to me, when people are emotional and they're, say, crybabies and, all that kind of stuff, it brought up a lot of mixed emotions because it doesn't seem right. Yeah. So, and then she said to me, which once again, it was another aha with, well, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And I just cried. I cried on stage. I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing this whole way along. Like I totally got it. It was because I wanted to be right. I wanted to control her. I wanted her to do what I said, when I said it, how I said it. Put on those clothes because those are the clothes that make you look the prettiest. Don't you talk back. That's very embarrassing in front of those people. Oh my God, judgment. So all these things weren't perfect in my perfect world on how perfect parenting is. It's so embarrassing. You are making me look bad.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That must have been, when you realized that, like, did you feel the world came, like, that's huge.
Oh my gosh. I had a headache.
I bet.
But at the same time, my heart opened up so wide and I was like, oh, what she needed from me the most was just unconditional love, which is what I thought I was giving her. Mm-hmm. Because unconditional love to me was just being there for her and her listening to what I had to say. But what I was doing was actually controlling her because I couldn't control myself. So I had to control something. And it wasn't about me, it was about her. Yes. And so going to these courses just opened up my eyes to, Melinda, this is about you. This is about your issues. This isn't about her at all. It's about how you are treating yourself, which then shows on the outside how you treat others. Mm-hmm. And that was just a big moment because it was like, that's just how we do life. Yeah. These little people have come out of me. She is mine. Yeah. I have total control over her. I am required by law to give her a good life, and that's however I see fit to do it. And
Yes.
controlling is one, because if I have control over that, then there are no mistakes because I'm in control of all of it. Which, and hence I tried to control my husband. I tried to control, every situation, work, lunches. Like, I mean, it came down to when I realized it, it was like I needed to control everything, because you know what? If that was in control, then it made me feel worthy. And I found that piece too, because I felt so unworthy and vulnerable and wounded, that it came on the outside as I needed to control everything, because that gave me the sense of worthiness of needing to be needed. And understanding where that actually came from was digging into those beliefs a little bit more to go, oh, that's because you know what? We can do the surface stuff and go, okay, change your mind, change your life. Well, how do I do that? Like, it's not just, oh, okay, I'll just change my mind about that. Well, it's so much deeper as a bigger picture sense if you want it long term. If you want it short term gratification, well, for sure, change your mind and make a different decision once in a while. Well, sure, well, that's great temporarily, but if I was looking for the long term and the relationship I wanted with my daughter, then it needed to come from a place of compassion and love and generosity, not from resentment, guilt, and shame. So looking at those pieces, and you know what, in between, actually the action piece, because you know what, you can read the books, you can go to the courses, you can spend the money on all this stuff, but you also got to do the work in the pockets of the day. And when it's easy, it's easy. It's when it's shit hits the fan is when it all comes to fruition on how am I going to look at this one? How is this one going to work? Rather than in reaction mode, I just pulled back and went, you know what do you need right now? What can I do for you? I need time to myself. When I started asking the questions, that's when I came from a place of what does she need, not what do I need in this? Because I would exacerbate the whole situation. Oh, I can help you. What do you need? Why are you crying? What's wrong? I can fix it. I can do that. I can blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I just want to be left alone. That was her thing, is that she doesn't process it like I do, where I'm trying to fix the problem right away. There's got to be a solution. Let's bang this on head on. And she's like, I just want to breathe. Like, I just want to, I need some time to myself, and then I can talk. And so we were different in those aspects. It was just really looking at her language and what she needed, and it wasn't what I needed. I needed to ask her what she needed, so then I can openly give her the time, the space to process it, and walking away with love, saying, you know what, I'll be upstairs when you're ready to talk. We'll figure it out then, right? And not waiting to hear a response or whatever. It was just like she needs some time to herself. And that's the things in those little moments that ended up being big moments.
Yes.
Because it just really comes down to, what does she need in this situation? What is going to make her flourish in this situation? And that's just me leaving her alone. Wow. Could it get any easier than that? No, I had to make it difficult.
Well, we do. We make it all difficult.
Totally.
Yeah. And somebody said to me way early when I had the same realization too, Anna, like, your daughter's whatever age, pick an age, like 5. How can we expect them at 5 to have life skills? As well. Will you just listen? Absolutely. Will you do this? Will you do that? Adults can't even sit still. Why are we asking our young children that kind of stuff?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And why do they act out? They just act out to make our lives miserable. No, they don't. No. There's actually a reason. And if I can sit with her long enough or ask her the questions rather than telling her what I think is happening here, it makes a whole heck of a difference. Because the reason why children act out is not to get your goat. I mean, sometimes it might be, But then that's where I can come in and either let that happen or not.
Yeah.
But the reason is because they're hurting. It's because they're not understanding. It's because they don't know how to process the feelings. They definitely sometimes don't know how to express those feelings or are scared to express what they're feeling. So there's just so many different things that are going on in their world. And that's the other thing I didn't understand. It's like, oh, you don't even know what it's like. Try being an adult. You think it's so hard being a kid. And you know what? When you're a kid, take yourself back to those days. Of course it was hard. You had the friendships that didn't work. You had the boys that you liked that didn't like you back. And everything was detrimental back there at that age. And so really putting myself back into hers and going, yeah, like I need to come from her sense of perspective, not from mine at my age to her at her age.
Yeah.
Like that's not even fathomable. Like why should I even think about that? Because I've got those tools now that I never had before, but at her age, I never had those. So you just go into survival. Mm-hmm. And I just want everyone to like me and I want to be everyone's friend. And that's where, you know, if things are awry in that, well, guess where the kids take it out? They take it out on the safe zones, and that's in their own home. It's with their own family. Because I always wondered, why do they always take everything out on us? Well, that's actually a privilege because they feel safe to do that. Where they don't feel safe to do that with others or a counselor or other friends because they're a fear of being judged and not liked. But at home, they always know that there's love for you here. So they tend to treat us a little bit on the raw side. But that's, once again, my personal development came from that place. And I understood more that, you know what, I'm not going to take that personal. So the book, the 4 Agreements were fantastic for me. I mean, I read that book over and over again because it was like, it totally made sense to me that, yeah, don't take that personal. Like, that's not the biggest lesson in general for all of life and people that are in your life, let alone just your children. Mm-hmm. And not making assumptions, because I would assume that she was thinking this. So I read that and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Be impeccable with your word. Holy Jesus, isn't that the truth? Well, you should know what I'm thinking. Yeah. And I do that with my husband. So you should know what I'm thinking. He's like, no, tell me. Oh yeah, okay, that would make sense, right?
Exactly.
But same with parenting. Be impeccable with your word. Could you please pick up the green shirt and put the green shirt on the red hanger? Like, that's the spirit. Like, kids don't know what they don't know. So we expect them by, you know, not being impeccable with her. Oh, just go pick that up. Well, pick what up? Don't you be smart with me. Go pick it up. But they really don't know what you're talking about. So it was like that, you know, when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm just more impeccable with my word. Yes. And it just, it makes life so much easier, Anna. And of course, always do your best. And that's what I love about that is, in those 4 agreements, I'm always in check with that all the time, going, okay, what's this? And then I use that at work. I use that with my husband. I use that with my business. And I just do those different things because those 90 to 100% of the time, if I use those correctly throughout my day, throughout my life, there's very little that comes into it where it's like, oh shoot, I should have said that better. I mean, of course, there's always room for error, and then it makes me, okay, yeah, I needed to do that a little bit better. I should have explained that a bit better, and taking accountability for what I've said. Where before, if I took accountability, that means I'm in trouble, that I've done something wrong, and I couldn't handle that piece either. So I would lie, I would cheat, I would, you know, do all that kind of stuff just to say I didn't do it, because making a mistake in my world was wrong.
Yes.
And oh my God, that would just tear me up inside. So like I said, I would cheat, lie, and say, no, I didn't do that. I didn't say that. No. And now it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, you know what? I did say that. I'm sorry. It was in the heat of the moment. No excuses here. I did say that. And what can I do to make it better right now?
Which is so
accountability.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you pointed that out with the impeccable. I absolutely love all those 4 agreements, but the impeccable with our word. Like, I often get moms during our coaching and stuff, well, how can I get them to clean up their room? And I'm like, well, why do you want them to clean? Like, that's the thing that we follow through too. Like, have you taught them? Have you gone through that? Because often we do go clean up your room. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's too big.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's taking those pieces, or even, you know what, before I would never even help them clean up their rooms. I'd be like, no, you made the mess, you clean it up. Once again, my control thing. And now it's like, well, let's take a piece of that. Well, let's do this together. Well, did you need that? And then, you know what? We can come together on doing stuff. It promotes the teamwork. It promotes, well, we can take that down to the thrift shop since we don't use it anymore. Someone else can use it. And then they get that giving sense and contribution. And so we've just made so much more fun out of it because I've taken the time. Like, I'm not wanting to be that mom, which I was before, definitely, that, oh, I'm too busy to do that. I've got stuff to do, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what? All it does is take 20 minutes of the day. You go, you build a great relationship with your children while you're doing it. You're having a conversation, and all these different factors come out of you doing some clothes or toys or, you know, just whatever kind of stuff. Because that's the other big thing, Anna, for me, is don't sweat the small stuff.
No.
Because there's so many things that I've tried to control that were just bogus. That exactly, I created so much chaos in those young days with her. And I can look back now and go, oh my gosh, look at what and sometimes I catch myself doing it now, where I catch my husband start, and it's like, you know how that started, didn't you? You know what happened there, didn't you? You know, and we can joke about it now.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the whole thing, is that, you know, take responsibility for the stuff that comes out of your mouth, because most times they're reflecting back to you what you said to them. They learn it somewhere. Of course, they learn it through other modalities as well. But most of the time they spend with you, especially when they're younger. And then when they repeat the stuff back to you, it's a whole different thing than supposedly what, you know, you need to respect me. You need to blah, blah, blah. And all that came down to it. It's like, well, I also need to respect her. Yes. And I never, like, I was doing the whole, like, I'm the parent, you're the child, you need to do what I say. And that does not work. And, you know, there's that friendly, okay, well, are they your friend then? And how do I parent if I'm a friend? And it's like, well, it's more so of a friend with accountability, because like I said to my daughter now, she is 19. And I say to her, you know what, I don't really agree with what you're doing, but know that I will always be there if you need. So she knows, like, the boundaries, because I always say through my coaching as well is that putting up the boundaries was another great thing for us, because she would try to take different things, and then it was like, well, no, that's not really right. And then I still kind of felt, well, is it? Should I be doing that? Like, you know, because it's kind of, you know, so I was kind of trying to go through that, but then I really realized the boundaries that I needed to do to make myself happy, as well as for her to know that she cannot cross that line, because there are certain things that I don't agree with, that I know she does. I'm not going to do a blind eye to certain things, but I also want her to know that I've got my morals and my compass, and she has hers. Not saying mine are right or wrong, or hers are right or wrong. They're hers, they're mine. Right. And that's the thing. But also knowing that these are the boundaries. If I'm on a call, please don't come into my workspace. Yeah. And that's just like some non-negotiables. If I'm doing my meditation, please, blah, blah, blah. If I'm able to, I will definitely give you a ride to wherever you need to go and whatnot. But can you please check in with me, because I do have a full schedule, and communicating and being impeccable with my word and stuff to let her know I am just not at her beck and call all day. Just because I work from home and different things doesn't mean I'm not doing anything with my time. And so I had to relay that to her, saying, well, this is my day. This is my full, I've got time between blah, 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 like I would a client. The same kind of way I treated her. Like, it's, you know what, I've got time between 1 and 3. So if you could do it between then, great. If not, maybe make other arrangements with grandma or dad or something like that. And you know, give her the option of doing that. Otherwise, this is the time I have, because there's only certain things that I can swish or, you know, do different things. So please give me the more time, the better to get the way you want. But if this is last minute, it's got to work for both of us. So that's the great thing that I have in place for us, are those boundaries, because if you don't, then they tend to take a bit, and that's just the way it is at the younger age of understanding that I definitely love to receive more than give. Yes. And that's just the way they are at different ages of the process. So.
Oh my goodness, huge moments. I think I could extend this and talk to you for hours about this. Like, that must have been a huge moment in not just you and your daughter's relationship, in your own relationship with self and with your husband as well. How huge.
Yes. Yeah. Just flourishing within myself, because I know that self-care piece was huge. And I hired a life coach myself 4 years ago, just to I wanted to understand more and learn more, and I just was such a sponge. And so working with him as well has accelerated my process. So there's just all these little things that we think are little. Oh, I'll do this, and then give yourself credit for those things too.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I was not the receiver, where he's like, oh my gosh, have you seen this, this, and this? And doing a reflective journal and stuff, where I never even thought about that. I just like journaling. It was work and blah, blah, blah. But now that I do it and I've made that a practice, it's like, yeah, because we can forget what happened in January and February, because now we're in December. So now when I reflect back, I go, oh yeah, January we did this, and I had this call, and I did this with this person, I had this group, and we tend to forget. Celebrate that stuff. We'll celebrate it. Well, what's next? I was always looking for like, well, what's next? Well, how can I help somebody else? How can I, because I got into that mode of, oh my gosh, it feels so good and exciting to be of service and whatnot. But I was forgetting that piece of receiving and thinking into all the stuff that I did do in that piece, and how I took care of myself in that piece to then make it go through forward and be able to do this and, celebrate with my daughter. So after all the stuff that we went through, just last February, a year ago, we went on our first vacation together to Cabo. Nice. And we had the best time ever. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, look at where we were to where we are now. We are like the best friends ever. Mm-hmm. And to go through all that, like, I'd say probably the last 3 years, we have been just like intertwined. Really together on stuff. She even said to me, I want to be like you, Mom, and I love you, and you're just, and I was like, thank you, I totally appreciate that. I said, enjoy the journey along the way, because the person I am now is because I had you. It's because I had contrast in my life. It wasn't because it was this big wave of, woohoo, we're riding the wave and everything's great. I said, you're going to come up against bumps and bruises. And I said, that's what makes us who we are. Just pick yourself up and keep going. To be who I am today, I had to go through the stuff. Persistence pays off, honey. So enjoy your journey and just love yourself along the way. But for her to say those kind of things, we're like, oh my gosh, this is cool. Because that's something she used to say. She hated me. She used to say, I wish you would go away. I'm running away. So all that stuff was, in our realm of like, she wouldn't come home and she'd be very negative, and to now be where she is today, it's like we have this best relationship. It's because I don't take things personal. Like, she is who she is. She's in a stage of this, so she goes through that way. Or I remember going through that, so I just let her be. Sometimes my husband says, holy Jesus, what's going on? I'm like, oh, just doing her thing. I'm just going to walk away, and when you're ready to discuss, I'm not ever going to say I've got it down pat, our relationship is perfect. No. But on the most part, it is beautiful. We text each other, we support each other, we laugh. And those times where I want a certain way to look a certain way, it doesn't happen. That's okay too. That 5 minutes that we had eating a couple pieces of sushi was better than nothing. Yes. Because we had the most amount in those 5 minutes that if we had an hour together, may not have been as productive as those 5 minutes. We laughed and shared a few things, ate a couple things, and then she ran out. So it doesn't have to be a certain way. It just is. So make the most of what that way is at that time, because that's the beautiful moment of being in the now. Yes. And appreciation.
Oh my goodness, so good. So good.
Thank you. It is. It's a great relationship.
Now, you mentioned a little bit, you do Isthenics, you also have your own life coaching. Moms that are kind of listening, what's the best way to reach you? Like, I'll have the link below, but those who are driving and listening to them, I can't,
Yeah.
Kind of reach you.
Well, I'm a big component on Facebook. So if you want to look at my stuff on Facebook, it's under Melinda Joyce. Okay. You can add yourself there. But I do have a website. It's called bringonyourbliss.com. And that's my life coaching, relationship, transformational coaching that I do there. And there's pretty much other things on that site as well. But I tell you, when it comes to children, that's something I've always known I've wanted to work with, and moms and children, because there's just so much that we think we need to do for them, and we think we need to be for them and do for them. And, you know, they've got their own journey and they've got their own lives and they've got their own ways of looking at things.
Yes.
And their experience is so different from ours, but it's theirs and it's how they become to learn as well. So I knew when I took myself out of her game and tried to just, you know, let her be and let her experience life, and painful sometimes because you watch them going, oh my God, I know what's going to happen. And it probably does happen. And you're like, oh, but you can't save them from it because, you know, I look through all the stuff I've went through and that's who has made me who I am today, through all that contrast and all that different problems and obstacles and stuff. And so knowing that she's going to go through that, but she's always going to get taken care of and she's always supported. So that's the main thing, and giving them that always that love and support, because that's what they're always looking for, is just, you know what, is it okay? And can I come back home, or can I talk to you about this? And if they can have that support of just talking to you, that's the biggest thing, not you doing everything or paying for everything. You know, that's, they learn by doing it for themselves, not by you doing it for them. So that was another big tip I definitely had, because you know, it's easier to do if I just did it for them. It's easier to do, but it's really not, because what am I teaching them in the process if I want them to be thriving human beings, is by teaching them how to do it, not to do it for them.
Agreed. Yes. So huge.
Yes.
Oh, I love this conversation. So many good things. I thank you so much, honey. This was huge. And I think for, you know, being courageous and being vulnerable with us and admitting, you know, I spent a lot of big chunk of your parenthood wanting to fix her.
Yeah.
And realizing, oh, it's me. It's huge.
Absolutely.
And then come on, you know, World Wide Web here and share that. It's huge.
Oh, geez. Well, you know, I'm sure there's lots of other moms that can relate too, and that's why I'm here. I mean, I just want to share that's the way life is. Like, it's not the perfect ball of beauty and unicorns and rainbows that, you know, sometimes life portrays it should be. And it is what it is. It's what I make of it. I can create it and do the best and look for a little bit of support along the way, and just really trust that I can do that, and I can also help others along the way. So I thank you so much for allowing me to share my story, because when I seen you post that, I was like, oh, this is something that I was totally expanded about, and I was like, oh, I really like this. So I'm going to contact Anna and see if I can share my story. So I thank you so much for this platform, because you doing your work sure enables us to get our voice out there. So I thank you so much and appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.